So my name is Anna Cohen, and I am from Boca Raton, Florida, and I've been here since 1984 or 1985.
My name is Helene Mandel, and I'm the volunteer interviewer for the Boca Raton Historical Society and Museum. The museum is conducting a series of interviews to document the development and growth of Boca Raton's Jewish community. Today is May 4th, 2016, and I am here in the television studio of Lynn University with Anna Cohen. Thank you so much for joining us today, Anna.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us where you're originally from and when you came to Boca?
I'm originally from New York and went to the University of Miami and stayed in Florida. My family moved down and this became our new home. And I lived with my former husband in Miramar in 1984. That's where we were living at the time. And then moved to Boca. It was late 1984, January of 1985 with our one-year-old daughter.
And your reasons for moving from New York to Florida?
It was for school, for education. And then made our home here, and our whole family was here at that time.
Nice. What were your first impressions of Boca coming from New York?
So Boca was just, it was really, the community was really developing and just beginning. And actually my brother went to Florida Atlantic University, and that was in 1974. So I knew Boca from even 10 years prior to the time when I moved here. But again, it was I-95. I don't even think it even went through at that point. It was just beginning they were beginning construction at that point.
How did the community differ from where you lived in New York?
Well, it's really interesting because where I grew up as a child, I had such a great childhood that I really wanted the same thing for my family. And I lived in an Orthodox community in New York. That's where I grew up. Then in going to the University of Miami, I was very involved on campus with Hillel and with Chabad. And so when you say, you know, how different Boca Raton was, well, it was in its infancy when I came. So I had a certain vision in mind to replicate, very similar to, you know, replicate what I grew up with in New York.
We know you're a very active member in the Jewish community. Can you talk to us about what your role was?
Sure. Do you want me to go into the whole story? Okay, because you want me to just take it from there? Okay. So in 1984, my former husband was opening practice up here in Palm Beach County, and so we needed to relocate up here. And having the vision in mind of the kind of community I grew up with and wanted the same for my family, you know, that's what I thought of. And I happened to be reading an article in the newspaper. I believe it was the Sun Sentinel. And it was an article about just a handful of people that were starting an Orthodox community and an Orthodox synagogue. And talk about, you know, it was just coincidence or b'sher that happened, because I called the number that was listed in the article. And I made an appointment that Sunday. We met with just a few people. And it was Rivela and Izzy Brooke and Tamar and Albert Nowie and a couple of other people. And we came up here, and from the very beginning, we were totally enveloped by them, and I felt a connection. And I felt this was the place that we needed to be to raise our family and for us. And their vision for the community was very much what I saw as the vision for what I wanted. And so we moved here, and that was either December of 84 or it was January of 85. And at that point, we were about the 18th or 19th family in the Orthodox community. And we didn't have a synagogue. We didn't have the circle as it's come to be known as, but we were a group of families who were of like minds. We wanted a traditional type of a community, an Orthodox synagogue that we could walk to, and we shared that vision. And it was wonderful. And, you know, we davened in Verde Elementary School in the cafeteria at the time. We would daven in people's homes. And I have to tell you, when there was a simcha, everybody came out. And when it was Shabbos, everybody was there. And if you weren't, you got a phone call. Is everything okay? And this became really our extended family. And our daughter at the time was 1 year old. And actually our sons, we have twin sons that were born in August of 1986, and they were the first twins that were born in the Boca Raton Synagogue community. So and it was very interesting because I was invited to the home of Ed and Beverly Feldman, and this was in January of 1986. And he asked just a few people who attended, about 4 or 5 people, what they wanted to see in our community. If we had our dream of dreams, what would that be? And one person said that they would love to see a kosher butcher. And at that time, we got our meats from North Miami. We had to drive down there. Later on, we got deliveries. But someone else said that they wanted to see a kosher bakery. And I said, I didn't see how we could build a community, attract families, and grow without having a Jewish day school that's acceptable to most of us. No school is perfect for everybody, but that I always felt there should be choices. So with choices, then more families would come and people could choose what's right for them and their particular family.
What year was this?
So that was in January of 1986 that I was invited to the home of Ed and Beverly Feldman.
And that's where your planning first began?
So the next morning, Ed called me up and he said, "Did you start?" And I said, "Start what?" I really didn't know what he was talking about. And he said, "Did you start the school?" And that's exactly what I did. I started to call friends and friends of friends and their friends. And I was looking for people who were looking for the same thing that I was looking for, and those of us that had a shared vision. And that was to create a school that was offered a Torah-based education, a traditional day school environment, promote a love for Israel, and never compromising on a secular education, excellence in secular education. So I did form a subcommittee at that point, and I became the chairperson for the BRS preschool. And Ed Feldman was the chairperson of the education department, and Stephen Marcus was the president of the shul at the time. But there was no building, mind you. There was no building, there was no community, and this was an idea. There was a lot of work that needed to be done. So from there, what we did is we investigated schools around the country to see what school did we want to model our school after. So we looked at those schools that were well-known, established, great reputations. And at the time, there were a few students, older students, that were being driven down to Hillel in North Miami Beach to attend school from Boca. So it was 40 minutes there and 40 minutes back. So we went down to Hillel. And at that point, Hillel was in existence about 18 or 19 years. They had a proven track record, and they had a wonderful way of uniting all Jews under one roof. About 20 to 30% of their students were Orthodox, 50% conservative, and the balance were Reform or unaffiliated. But they united everybody in a traditional Jewish education, a Torah-based education, and promoting a love for Israel and an excellent secular education. So we asked them to start a Hillel North. And at the time, it was actually in November of 1986 that I wrote a letter along with Stephen Marcus, who's the president of BRS, and Ed Feldman, and we formally asking them to start a Hillel North. And at the time they said that they really didn't see how they could do that to extend their faculty and their administration to come to Boca, that they really felt that they couldn't do it at that time, and to use the resources up here when they had a flourishing school down there, that they didn't see how that was possible. But they offered their assistance. They said that they would serve as consultants, and they did. They helped us tremendously because we needed to create budgets. We needed to hire teachers. We had no building at this point. We were selling an idea, really, and we needed to get students enrolled. We had open houses. We had, so Hillel was present at many of our open houses, and we utilized their curriculum. They helped us in ensuring that we would meet HRS guidelines, because the idea was to house the school in the Boca Raton Synagogue, start with preschoolers, and then add grades every year as the community would grow. And so they helped us and made sure, we had to get equipment and all of this, we were in many, many directions at the same time. But we did fundraise and we did register kids. And it was in September of the synagogue opened in February of 1986. 1987, and the school opened in September of 1987. So we were housed in the Boca Raton Synagogue. We were called the Jewish Day School of Boca Raton. And then at the time, we had a rabbi who, our new rabbi there, was Rabbi Winyers. And at the same time, Chabad of Coral Springs was opening up their school, and of course we had Donna Klein. And the idea was never to take any children away from any program. The idea was always add more programs, add more schools so that parents had choices. And then it was believed that if we did that, it would attract more people, and then the families would have choices. And it wouldn't be such a novelty to send your child to a Jewish day school. And that is exactly what happened. So, so when the school opened, there were some debates and some discussions about who should run the school, how the school should be run. And I was still communicating with Hillel in North Miami. And what happened is in 1988, the school actually, most of those students either went to Coral Springs Chabad, Hebrew Academy, or went to Donna Klein or elsewhere. But I was really determined, and I really felt I was continuing my contacts with Michael and Raquel Sheck in North Miami, Marshall Baltuck. There was Dorothy Gruen, may she rest in peace, Sandra Cole, and Irv Kenner, may he rest in peace. I continued my dialogues with them, and I really firmly felt that we should have another choice in Boca Raton. So through mutual friends, I met Linda and Robbie Levy, and they shared the same vision. And Linda very much represented the conservative community, and I very much represented the Orthodox community. And we broadened our horizons, and we brought in more families. And now B'nai Torah congregation was opening up their new synagogue, which was now housed on 18th Street, and they were opening up a school wing. And our idea was, let's rent space from them because we have a whole school wing. So we again we registered children. We had, Hillel came up for our registrations and for our open houses. And we, again, were fundraising. My father built the first cubbies in the school. And there was a school that was closing in Miami that I heard about. I went down there and I scooped up 40 wooden chairs, and we went in my garage and we painted the chairs. It was just a labor of love. And Linda and I went down to Hillel in North Miami Beach many, many times, and we sat in on the classes of Aviva Kennigan and Cheryl Cooper. And both of us looked at each other and we said, if we could get those teachers to be our first teachers, that our school would only flourish, because they were just wonderful, amazing teachers. And sure enough, they became our first teachers.
What grades were you working on at that point?
So initially we opened up with 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and kindergarten. And we had a part-time program and then a full-time program. And when so we opened in North Miami Beach, in B'nai Torah congregation, we actually had there were discussions from the federations, because now Hillel was very motivated to open up a Hillel North. And we did our fundraising. I think they saw we did our due diligence. We were an involved group of families, and we would do everything that the lay parent body should do to help the school flourish and grow. And Hillel then became very motivated. But Hillel is affiliated with the Jewish Federation in Miami, and then of course Donna Klein is the South Palm Beach County Federation affiliation. So there were lots of discussions as to territorial issues and should this happen, and why not just build Donna Klein, and there was the entire Jewish community became involved. Rabbis wrote letters saying, let's have Hillel come to Boca. Families wrote, many families that had children that would go to school, and families that were just interested and motivated to help the community grow, and felt that this was the thing that we needed to do for our community, and our children. So it was in April of 1989 that I had an open house in my home, and we had 85 families represented that wanted to be a part of the Hillel Day School. Now, it wasn't official yet. But then in May of 1989, I received a letter from Michael Sheck, and he officially said Hillel would open in North Miami Beach. Hillel would open in Boca Raton, and it would be called the the Sandwich Shack Hillel Day School B'nai Torah campus. And we opened in, interesting, because in September of '89, B'nai Torah building was not complete yet. So we went full circle, and the school, we used the Boca Raton Synagogue facility for the first few weeks until the B'nai Torah building was complete. And we opened, the first school we opened with 30 children when we were in Boca Raton Synagogue. In B'nai Torah congregation, as the Hillel Day School, we opened with 40 children, which was, we were just absolutely delighted. And Aviva Kennigan and Cheryl Cooper were our first teachers. And Linda Levy and I used to go to the school in the morning, drop our kids off, and I used to say Hillel Day School was my fourth child. And we would stay there all day long, supporting the teachers, doing what, we're both nurses. And we would serve as nurses. We would push a library cart around, which had some books. That was our library. We provided first aid when needed, did our lice checks, and we created commercials, and we had slideshows at that time, and open houses, and they were, I have to really commend all of the amazing families that came on board, and they dedicated their time, their energies, their effort to give, and financially they helped the school to get off the ground, and then through the years brought it to the next level. And amazing, phenomenal people that now the school, it's amazing to see that the school is now on 15 acres of property, and they have over 525 children. And it's been really a privilege to see the school from the very beginning and to see where it is today.
And the building was completed, the school?
I don't know. I don't remember.
So they started building in what, about 1990?
I would say, let's see, no, because 1989 the school opened at B'nai Torah, 89, 99, maybe 10, no, maybe 1999 or 2000. Let's see, they're there 15 years. Maybe around 2000, but I don't know. I don't remember.
Originally there were 18 or 19 children?
So in the very beginning we had 40 when the school opened, and now there's over 525, and now the school goes up to 8th grade, and of course there's many other schools that opened, and it's become what we really felt was that, you know, the Jewish education shouldn't be such a novelty, and that there would be choices, and that is exactly what happened. And now there's the Weinbaum Yeshiva that has a high school, and it's, you know, it's remarkable to see all the development, all of the schools, and all of the children that have gone through and developed and created careers in many, many capacities, and got accepted to universities around the country. Some choose to go to Israel for a year, others go right into college or university. And my daughter was the first graduate of Hillel Day School. She was in the first graduating class. Both of my sons are graduates. They actually didn't, they went to Hillel Day School in North Miami Beach for high school and graduated from there, because the school then here only went up to 8th grade.
Can you tell me over, I guess we're talking about 10, 15 years, what the changes are that you see in the Jewish community?
So in the years that I've been here, you know, we were very small in number, and I really felt many of us, we knew each other, we knew of each other, and there wasn't much. There wasn't certainly all of the kosher establishments that we have today. Now you can go to Winn-Dixie and get kosher food. We didn't have that. We didn't even have, you know, a kosher butcher. We didn't have, there's a lot we didn't have, but then it took many families to come and bring the community to the next level. And a few rabbis and leadership changed hands, and everyone helped to bring it to where it is today.
Do you see divisions within the community?
I've been very involved, as you know, as I've said, you know, for many years, and I can't say that I've experienced divisions. I have seen that we collaborate on events. Certainly, we've we have we share in some programs that have been community-wide. So I have not felt that division. I have felt that, and I continue to feel that we have wonderful choices. And whether someone chooses to go to this synagogue or that synagogue or affiliate a certain way, I can tell you though that through the school, many families became more observant. They lived outside the circle, and through their children, some, not all, moved on to the circle and became more observant as a result of learning really through their children.
Do you see any religious divide between East and West Boca?
I don't feel that at all, and I don't see that. I don't see a divide. I am very involved with social action organizations through the Boca Raton Synagogue and social action through other synagogues in the community, and we unite together for social causes. So I see more collaboration, and that's with some of the Reform synagogues, conservative or Orthodox, and we get together on joint issues, which in particular would be about Israel or regarding the Jewish people in America. And as a whole. So we work collaboratively and together, and also with the churches. The churches we've done joint organizations have been very supportive of our efforts to help Israel.
Are there any cultures within Boca that have influenced or affected the community, do you think?
Any cultures? I can't think of any. I can't think of an answer.
What transformations have you witnessed since you arrived, and anything else can you add to how things have changed?
Well, in terms of how they changed, we have a lot more traffic. We have wider roads. We have I-95 going through. What I have seen that has been wonderful to see is the development of Lynn University, also Florida Atlantic University. As I said, when my brother was at FAU in 1974, it was a little strip of classes and buildings. So that has been remarkable to see. Within Boca Raton, there were never so many choices of religious establishments, and it has been great to see that flourish and grow.
What is your vision of what Boca Raton will be like in the future?
In the future, I see it continuing to develop more in terms of culture. I think what happens when a group first comes to any area is they come from, and certainly with Boca, they come from the north, the south, or even other countries. And they come remembering where they were and all the great things where they were, and they bring that to their new home. And so initially, there's like a melting pot. And I saw this with the synagogue, I saw this with the school, that you have various ideas, and very good ideas, but everything is run a little differently. So in the beginning, there's a little chaos, because you have to create your own new entity based on all this input. And it takes a little time for the dust to settle to create this new identity. And I saw that with the school, and I saw that with the synagogue, for it to become its own place, its own unique entity.
And what do you think the draw is to Florida?
I think that now, I would say when I came years ago, it was the weather. I think it's still the weather, but I think in addition to that now we are firmly established, we are firmly in the ground, and we have a strong reputation for providing excellent culture and education, and also community.
Do you see the changes taking place as something unique to Boca, or really something that mirrors international things that are happening all over other Jewish communities in other countries?
I think that the only thing that I could really relate to with regard to that question is when I went to the University of Miami, because I was also part of the first Chabad that opened, and also was very involved with Hillel. And I would say that there was also a lot of students that came from different areas that had certain expectations, and it takes time for the dust to settle to become that is today. So I think that from my experience there, and then also in Miramar, because when we moved to Miramar, we were also involved with the synagogue there, and people came from all around. So I did see what it took to become founders of a community, and then for it to solidify and progress. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the only thing I can say is where I've been before, and I just see that I think that the greater the talent in a community, and we have lots of talent, and we have very involved people in all aspects of Boca Raton, and it's the people that dedicate their time, their energy to help build our home better and better with each year.
Did you experience any anti-Semitism when you first came, and what about now?
I personally have not. I have not. I've heard stories, but never personally. So I can't say it.
Are there any other things you'd like to add to your experience here, your development in school?
Yeah, I'd like to add that I really feel privileged, and I feel that everybody has their contribution to the world, everybody in a different way, and I really feel blessed to have been a part of the Boca Raton Synagogue community from the very beginning, and also the Hillel Day School from the very beginning, and to witness the remarkable people that it took, and remarkable talent, and both professionally and on a lay level, to bring the community, bring the school to the place that it is today, and it's still continuing to flourish and grow, and has made an impact on the entire country, if not broader than that, because Hillel Day School is on the map as one of the best schools in the country, and Boca Raton Synagogue community is known throughout the world, and we bring in speakers and we bring in guests from everywhere, and Boca Raton Synagogue is known, Boca is known. The Jewish community of the world knows Boca Raton, and that's been a privilege to be a part of from the very beginning.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your contribution and for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.